Welcome to the show. I don't know if you can hear me. Oh, I think you can.
Yeah.
Yay.
Mics are on.
All right. Well, we're here. So welcome to an impromptu. Well, I mean, it's not impromptu. Like, we scheduled our Pop Live episode for today at this time.
Did we?
But we didn't schedule it and tell anyone. We just put it in our calendar. And so if you're watching this live, which it looks like you're not, but if you were, thanks for joining us without any warning or anything and no promise of what we would be talking about. But what we're going to be talking about today is how to start your own podcast. A lot of our nonprofit organizations, well, not a lot, but a few have talked to us about, kicking around the idea.
Remember how to start a podcast?
Well, we're going to figure that out right here.
Okay.
Do you?
No.
Okay, great.
You just told me what the topic was like 2 minutes ago.
Well, the point of this is that there's a lot of organizations that have great content that would make for great podcasts. I mean, the communities that you're involved in, the type of people that you have access to, the topics that you could be discussing, it could be really relevant and helpful to, a lot of different people. And so some organizations have kicked around the idea to us about starting a podcast. And I don't think anyone's actually gone through and done it yet. But we've been doing a podcast for 3 years now. And we literally knew nothing about starting a podcast other than Jamie listening to podcasts. And at the time I listened to podcasts as well, but I was listening to wrestling podcasts and she was listening to
I found my notes.
normal kind of stuff, political stuff,
I don't listen to
murder
normal
mysteries and stuff like that. But anyways, we just came up with the agreement, let's go start a podcast. And she just went online and did some research. Oh, we have viewers. Hey, all right. But she did some less than 24 hours of research. We were fortunate in that we had the equipment already based on, because we're a video production company. We just use some of our mics. But I'll go over a really, really, convenient podcast recording kit that we now use that, in my opinion, it's affordable. Everybody's price range is different, but I'll give you what I would suggest as far as a great starter kit that we use for our podcast, and it's fantastic. But the point of this is that we didn't know how to start a podcast, and in less than 24 hours, we were recording our first episode, and then 2 days from that, we launched our.
That's not true.
Oh no, 2 weeks? I forget. Well, we basically it's not as impossible as it sounds. You don't need.
It's super easy.
Yeah, you don't need professionals like us to produce a podcast. You can do it yourself with very minimal technological background. So, real quick, as far as one piece of advice is, I think the first question people will have is well, I don't know, is anybody going to listen? And instead of worrying about trying to get hundreds or thousands of listeners, think about the thing that you want to talk about and what you feel like you can contribute by, having this podcast. And then think about who would benefit from it. And then you ask, who of those people would listen to this? And if you can feel comfortable with thinking that there would be some people in that community that would listen, then you have a podcast. I think we get hung up on, is it going to be popular? Is it going to be successful? And we all just think about Joe Rogan and stuff. And you don't have to be. We have a small, consistent group of listeners for our podcast, and it's so fulfilling and worth it for us, So don't let that be the reason why you don't start your podcast. Did you have kind of a thought of something you'd want them to know, given what your experience was with starting a podcast, and then what we've also had, conversations with others. We've had several people, one in particular that kept like emailing us and writing us every like few months asking about, okay, I think I'm ready to start a podcast, and then would ask for all this advice and then wouldn't do it.
I think as a podcast listener, which I've been for a long time now, I think a lot of people, when they're going to start a podcast, get hung up on knowing exactly what their content is going to be and their format and having everything like nailed down when they start. But I think with podcasts, you have a lot of room to change, and people are very flexible with you. So
Yeah.
like I think it's fine for podcasts to evolve over time. Like it doesn't have to be a set series of like, out the gate you're going to do 10 episodes on this and this is your format. And like I think podcasts are very flexible.
It's just like radio, right? Like I may not have been listening to a certain morning show from the beginning, but it could be years later. But as I hear whatever the current inception of that radio show is, and at that time I might like it, and then
Yeah.
I'll start listening to it more frequently. So you don't feel like you only have one shot, and if you give a bad first impression, your podcast is ruined. I think that's what that was the best advice Jamie gave me, because um, I get hung up on wanting to make sure everything is perfect and set up exactly the way it is. Like I was like, before we started the podcast and streaming it out, I was like, okay, do we have like the picture and the logo, and I want the studio all set up and all this stuff. And she's like, we don't need to do that. We got a show, we got guests. Let's just put it out there, and as we go along, we can add these things. But let's just go.
The only thing that's hard to change later is the title. That's like it's possible, but I think once you're established and you have a following, changing the title, like one particular podcast I know did that because they lost one of the hosts, and it was like that host was plagiarizing, and it was all kinds of bad stuff. So that's why the other host that was left over wanted to totally change the name, and that she did like warning the audience for months and months. This is what the new name is gonna be. Oh, sorry if that was loud. So that can take effort because you have to move streams and channels and redirect and stuff like that. But so I think if you start with a title, maybe that's more not super specific, then it's easier to evolve within that title.
Yeah, I agree. Sorry if you couldn't hear Jamie that well earlier. Her mic volume was a little low, but now you can hear her. Yay. Okay, so as far as this is the easy part for me to talk about. So as far as equipment goes, like that's usually the first question. Most people should probably know about like, the streaming service and whatnot, or the hosting stuff, which Jamie will talk about. But most people, the first most intimidating thought is the equipment. And it's what I would suggest is going online, and the online web store that we use to buy a bunch of our equipment that's a great place is B&H. I don't know if you just
bhphotovideo.com.
Yeah. That's
just the letters BH, not B and H.
Yeah, the name of the company is B and H, but the website is BH Photo Video.
bhphotovideo.com.
Yeah. These guys are super legit and have great deals, and they sell this kit. This is what we use. It's called a Zoom podcast recorder, or a Zoom pod recorder, PodTrack, Zoom PodTrack 4. And so what it is it's super small, super lightweight. You can either use 2 AA batteries to power it, or you can just plug it in with a USB-C cord. And the reason why I love this so much is it's so basic. Like you can put in 4 different mics into here. So you can have up to 4 microphone guests. Each microphone has its own volume dial, so that you can adjust each person individually, and each person can have their own headphone jack. So before, Jamie and I would do the podcast with our old equipment, only one of us would have a headphone jack. So only one of us would know how the recording's going, if everyone's mic is on, or if the quality of their voice is. Now the guests can hear it themselves. So a lot of the times before, our guests didn't know that they were like hitting the mic or like talking away from the mic, and I would try to like, it would be uncomfortable to stop the middle of the conversation. Like, hey, can you readjust your mic, or can you talk to your in this direction or whatever. Now they can hear it themselves and go, oh gosh, I'm super loud, and oh, I better stop pounding my chest because it's making these noises. So to have that ability for everyone to have a headphone to monitor is awesome. This also has you can preset different sounds and songs and stuff. So like I have a fun one. I have our intro theme song on here. I have fake applause and stuff. Like you can put 4 different pre-recorded tracks in here. So it's like a recording studio all in this little handheld device. And if you're like, whoa, what about the microphones? So they sell this kit that comes with the recorder. It comes with 2 microphones. These are actually the microphones that they come with the kit. So Zoom makes podcast mics. These mics are super legit. Like the sound quality is so great. It comes with a cord to connect to here, and it also comes with 2 headphones to put in there.
So that's separate from that?
What do you mean? Well, this kit comes with everything.
Oh.
Yeah, so the kit comes with the recorder, 2 microphones, 2 headphones, and it comes with 2 mic stands. Like not these arm ones, but like the ones you can put on your desk.
Oh, that's why we have those?
Mm-hmm. So all of that right now, I just looked up on B&H. It's on sale for $400, which for some people will be like, oh my gosh, that's a lot. For us, knowing how much sound equipment costs and stuff, that's pretty reasonable to know that, because that's all you need. Well, the only thing I should take that back. The only other thing additional to what I just listed that you need is a SD card, and those, I don't know, you don't need very much because it's an audio one. So
yeah, those are cheap.
Probably like, I don't know, $20. So you just buy a little SD card.
And the reader.
Plop it in. The reader is something that you can plug in the SD card into this like USB reader and plug it into your computer so that your computer
maybe you can plug that. You might not need the reader.
Oh, you're right.
You can plug that into your computer.
That's a great point. Yeah, so if you have a USB-C to USB cable, you can just plug this in to your laptop or computer and then pull out the audio tracks on there. And then now you got your podcast audio tracks. So it's getting equipment and recording the podcast, super easy. Then the next part is just how to upload it, where to host it, and how do you get it on iTunes and all that stuff. So Jamie, I'll let you explain that, which thankfully she pulled up her notes.
This is from 2018.
So things probably have changed.
And I didn't do any research when I did it because we wanted to just start it super fast, and I didn't want to go down a rabbit hole of looking things up. So I knew that Pat Flynn had a video on starting a podcast, so I just watched that and just followed it, and then I haven't changed anything since then because this is like super low on our list of priorities.
Yeah, like there's no money attached to it. Like this is a labor of love, and our love has a very shallow depth.
But it's just a lot of other things. So, what? Okay, so at the time the advice was to launch with 3 to 5 episodes in the can, and I still agree with that because as a podcast listener, when I'm trying out a podcast, I like to download 3. I'll usually start with the earliest 3, and then if I don't like the first one, then I'll give the next one a chance. So like that. So that's why I think it's still good to start with some already done in case your first one sucks, so you have more for them to listen to.
Or if it's good, they're hungry for
more.
And then now they're hooked. It's kind of like Netflix, right? Like when they have a series come out and it's just one episode, you're like, gosh, this is terrible. You want to be able to kind of binge episodes that you like.
So ours is on a WordPress site. So I use our blog to publish the episodes. This is very detailed. I don't think people are going to want to know all of this. So I think something that a lot of people use is I think it's called Anchor. Let me look that up. This is what happens when you tell me right before we're going on that we're doing it.
Surprise! But it's all legit. Like, this is for real.
So Anchor is a free beginner-friendly platform for podcast creation. So I think that's something that a lot of people who aren't into like tech stuff will just get on Anchor, and I think you can record on that app and publish it through there. The bad thing I've heard about it is that you can't take your stuff off. So if you record your episode in Anchor, you can never, if you decide to stop using Anchor and you want to move all your episodes to a better platform, you can't get the files for those episodes that you recorded on Anchor, because those only will ever live on Anchor. So something that people do who want to use the publishing capability of Anchor but not the recording is you record it separately and then you put your episode onto Anchor.
Yeah, so you can like record it onto here.
So then you still have it.
You possess the audio files.
It's supposed to be pretty easy as far as the publishing part of it, but I don't have any. I think it's just because it's free.
Mm-hmm.
So we use Libsyn, which is
Libsyn.
Yeah.
Okay.
Libsyn, and it's our low account is $7 a month, which I think is, I mean, that's so little bit.
Yeah.
and I just like that it has more flexibility. So I don't like to use the things that try to own your property.
Yeah. Here, I'll pull it up. Just so you can see what Libsyn kind of looks like.
And there's a lot of other ones like Podbean and Blubbery and a lot of other hosting things. I really only use Libsyn because that's what Pat Flynn used.
See,
Why are you showing them that?
All kinds of, it's cool because it shows you all kinds of data and stuff like that.
Oh yeah, it
like
has stats on it.
If you're like a data geek or nerd about how many
your
downloads and stuff. Which I haven't looked at this for like several months. I'm just curiously looking at. Wow. People actually listen to our podcast still. Thanks, guys.
I haven't uploaded one all month.
I haven't recorded one all month.
No, we still have 2 in the can.
Oh, we do?
Yeah, I never uploaded John and Sheldon and Alfie.
Oh, good. Well, for any of you who are listeners of our podcast, know that we have 2 in the can. Which John?
John Pullum.
Oh, hey, that's a fun episode.
I know.
I like that. Yeah. Okay, so know that there are episodes coming. But the other thing, which this is kind of timely that we're going to bring this up, is you want to be consistent when you publish episodes, because it's hard to get a following if they don't know when to expect your podcast episodes. So you don't have to do it daily or weekly, but just be consistent. Like if it is bi-weekly, it's every Monday at 9 a.m. it comes out, or whatever, just commit to a day and time and let them know like this is when it's coming out.
I think we were consistent for 2 years.
Yeah. And then what?
And then it went down the toilet.
I think pandemic is when
No, it was before that. There was a period when we were off for like 6 months, I think.
Nah, it wasn't that long. We
It was
took a
super
break.
long.
We took a break. But we gave the audience a warning, and then we came back, and wow, surprisingly, the audience was still there. I thought we were gonna lose them all.
Yeah, me too.
But yeah, I think that was key. Was that especially with new listeners that don't know you, because I know like for our friends and family that did listen, it's just like they will be loyal. But for people that I either heard it through the grapevine or whatnot.
I think family wouldn't listen.
Some family. I know of some specifically who will remain nameless that are very loyal to
Oh, yeah.
us. But I think for those who don't know us and such, when they're just starting to get a taste for it, and usually what it is that it's a certain episode that they are checking out. So for ours, we have guests and interviews, and it might be like, oh, I'm a fan of this person. I'm interested in this person, and they liked listening to that episode, and like, well, I really like the format of this show. Let me go check out other episodes. And a lot of the times, they don't necessarily go have time to go back and listen to all the old episodes, but they will subscribe and follow from that episode on. And so when they know like consistently, oh, it's every week on Monday morning, like, okay, I'll check it out. I think it just makes it more, I don't know, there's something about that that helps.
I think there's a lot of super technical stuff that I won't talk about here. Um, but I think if you go on YouTube and look up Pat Flynn podcast tutorial, you might want to look for the older videos because more recently he now does, I think, like a class. So the videos, I don't know this because I haven't watched his videos, but the more recent videos might be a funnel to lead you to purchasing his class. But I watched the old one. I think it looks like it was from 8 years ago. I don't know if that's the one that I watched, but there's a series of podcast tutorials he did 8 years ago, and that's all I needed to start.
Is that him and the guy with the beard also him? They look like completely different people.
Beard him is that's pandemic Pat Flynn.
Really? Wow. He looks like a completely different person.
But look, it was so long ago. It was 8 years.
Still, man. Look, he looks like a little baby.
Yeah.
Crazy.
I think he had kids within that time.
I can
you
sympathize.
Can relate.
Yeah. But anyway, that's it. I mean,
I think it would be good to talk about what would a nonprofit do with a podcast.
Yeah, you could probably talk to that because you suggested it.
What people. Are you talking about? Oh, to people. I thought you meant to talk about today.
Huh? What does that mean?
I thought you meant I suggested it as a topic for today.
No. We all know that you didn't even know what we were going to talk about until I said it.
What do you mean I suggested it?
Like when we've had talks with other like specific nonprofits about doing a podcast, you were explaining why, because you needed to kind of convince them why.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Oh, okay. Well, in my memory then of these conversations is like, for instance, there was a nonprofit that, focused on certain issues, certain services, certain parts of the community, like specifically. And we had talked about how they have a very unique perspective of what's going on in that community that they serve, but they also have access to different partners and people in that community. So the conversations that could be had on their podcast could give a unique perspective and access to the public that we normally wouldn't have, because they have these conversations all the time within their bubble and their what's the term?
Silo?
I guess silo. That's not what I was thinking because I don't know what that word means, but it sounds good. So, but yeah, for us in the greater community,
we gotta go to the dentist.
So basically, for you nonprofits, you're in this whatever community that you're serving and working with. You have this unique perspective of what you do, but also the people that you're impacting, or the communities that you're impacting, and you also have connections to so many other people too. So I think that will help with bringing more awareness to the missions that you have. Two, it'll bring more. It's like a marketing opportunity, I guess, or like an awareness builder for your particular organization. Three, it will help you establish more connections with the community. I think it'll deepen your relationships with the people you work with and you partner with, but also with people in the community that you may not have known about you, but now hear about you through this and want to get involved. So there's just so much of a benefit to doing something like this, I think. Do you have any other thoughts as to what other reasons why a nonprofit should consider doing a podcast?
I think it's easy. Like a lot of people want to think about they're looking for ways to get the word out and marketing and all of that stuff, and a podcast is probably the easiest thing because you don't have to do a video, and I mean it's easier than doing a video. It might even be easier than doing like graphics and stuff. Like you can just have a few people from your office sit around and talk every Monday.
Yeah.
And then publish it, like super easy.
Yeah. And it doesn't have to be super long. You could do short ones.
Yeah.
I listened to a podcast where I think it was like his episodes were 5 to 8 minutes long, but it was about a specific topic. And he was an expert. And so it's like, this is really helpful. Thanks a lot. I'll tune in next week, so don't feel like you have to have these super long ones as well. Like, just go out and do it, really. But if you have questions, which I know you will, please write them in the comment section, or you can email us at info@popcm.me. We'd love to share with you whatever else that we can to help you start your podcast, or
we can send you my notes from 2018.
Yeah. I mean, it's very technical stuff, but, it's helpful. But any other thoughts, questions, comments, concerns?
I'm going to get my tooth capped.
Yeah, that's why she said we got to go. We got to go to the dentist. So we're going to go there, and we'll see you next week. We were hoping to have our guest this week, but our schedule's just too crazy. So cross your fingers. Maybe next week we'll have our guest. But either way, we'll be back next week sometime, someday, talking about something.
Oh, my God.
But we'll see you then. Bye.